This is KGW News at noon.
And I don't even know what to feel right now. I'm numb, I'm sad, I've cried on and off since, 8 o'clock last night.
The small town of Lewiston, Maine is dealing with the country's latest mass shooting. 18 people are dead and as many as 13 are injured, while the suspected shooter, 40-year-old Robert Card, is still on the loose. Thanks for joining us here at noon. I'm Drew Carney. The shootings happened last night at two locations, a bar and a bowling alley. And Lewiston remains basically in lockdown today. The governor of Maine, police and doctors all spoke to the media earlier today. Investigators have no idea where Card is right now. They also wouldn't answer how someone who had been committed with mental health issues this summer could have access to the semi-automatic rifle that was used in the shootings. One of the people killed is Joey Walker, a bartender at the bar where one of the shootings took place. His parents waited 14 hours before hearing from police that their son was dead.
He died as a hero because he picked up a butcher knife from somewhere. He has all that stuff near the bar anyways. And he tried to go at the gunman to stop him from shooting anybody else. The gunman shot him twice through this.
NBC's Lester Holt spoke to the parents. You can see more of that interview tonight on Nightly News with a live broadcast from Lewiston that will start right here at 5:30 on KGW. In about 90 minutes, the off-duty pilot accused of trying to shut off the engines of a plane in mid-flight will appear in federal court here in Portland. This is video, I should say, of Joey Emerson. You can see him as police escorted him off that flight in handcuffs. Emerson appeared in Multnomah County Court earlier this week and pleaded not guilty to multiple charges, including attempted murder. During the investigation, Emerson admitted that he hadn't slept in 40 hours, had been depressed for months, and had taken magic mushrooms within 48 hours of that flight. His lawyer, though, sent us a statement that read, quote, "Joe was not under the influence of any intoxicants when he boarded that flight. We'll pursue a diligent investigation into all the facts and circumstances surrounding the events." We have a crew in court covering Emerson's appearance this afternoon, and we'll have an update for you as soon as that court proceeding wraps up. A scholarship foundation is now in place in honor of Ethan Chapman, one of the 4 students killed at the University of Idaho last November. Last night, his brother, Hunter Chapman, was honored by his fraternity as the first recipient of the scholarship.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, wow.
The award is given to a fraternity member that best exemplifies, quote, Ethan's character, his enthusiasm for life, and his smile for everyone around him. The man charged with murdering Chapman and 3 other students will be back in court later today for 2 hearings. The hearings for Brian Kohberger were supposed to happen last month but were pushed back. So the first hearing is sealed and closed to the public. The second one will address the motion filed by Kohberger and his attorneys to dismiss his grand jury indictment. All right, we're going to take a break from our news headlines this afternoon for this live look outside Timberline Lodge. Plenty of snow up there on Mount Hood this afternoon after the first snowstorm of the season hit Tuesday night into Wednesday. So we went up to government camp to talk to people about the snow. Some said they raced up to the mountain to see it. Others said it actually caught them by surprise.
So I'm just gonna go up and figure it out. I had no idea what to expect, but now I can see there's a blizzard.
Who would have thought to put snow tires on at the end of October?
We just retired, so we decided that this would be a fun day to come up and have a cup of hot chocolate and watch the snowfall.
ODOT has already said it won't be able to plow and de-ice highways as often as it used to because of budget cuts. All right, Rod Hill, we're going to check in with you now in the Weather Center. I know you enjoyed some of those sound bites, not from the people who said they didn't see it coming. They obviously weren't watching the forecast.
What's going on? All right, good afternoon. So we had all the action yesterday. We wrapped up the snow on the mountain. They had 13 inches in the parking lot up there to start the day this morning. And now we're turning our attention to clearing skies with the first hard freeze and first widespread frost of the season in the coming night. So the National Weather Service, everything that's toned in blue here, including the gorge, including I-5 from Longview down to Eugene, under a mixture of either a freeze watch or frost advisory, depending on exact location. But it all means that starting tonight, we have the potential to see freezing temperatures here in the valley and up into the Vancouver, Kelso, Longview area. So one of our forecast models at 7:15 tomorrow morning goes 32 from Longview, 31, 30, 31, 35 in Eugene. So this shows fairly widespread freezing temperatures. If we clear the skies tonight, winds are expected to be calm. We could have at least more areas drop to freezing than not. So more on that coming up. Right now we're seeing a few showers up around Astoria. Otherwise we're dry. The clouds thin a little bit down Lincoln City from our Chinook Winds Casino Resort camera. But it's been a gray morning here in Portland. We're dry. We still have the overcast, 47. Looking for partly cloudy skies to develop, which would get us up into the 50s. Again, my big story, Drew, more on the freezing temperatures in the upcoming nights and my complete forecast.
All right, that's coming our way here in about 10 minutes. But right now, back to some of our top news headlines this afternoon. Several suspects are behind bars after a domestic violence sweep across the area. KGW's Catherine Cook takes us along as law enforcement agencies teamed up to take down the alleged offenders.
Our mission today is to serve and attempt to serve Clackamas County warrants related to family violence.
Everyone in this room is anxious to get outside, serve warrants, and make arrests. Their uniforms are all different. Milwaukee, Gladstone, Canby, but their goal is the same: put domestic violence offenders behind bars. This is the 20th annual domestic violence sweep. It started right here with the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. Today, more than 200 law enforcement agencies across 16 states are participating.
20 years of sending an important message, and that message is that family violence is unacceptable. And those who commit acts of family violence will be held accountable for their actions.
Before they leave, officers hear from a domestic violence survivor. She wants them to know that what they're doing matters.
I believe I am here alive because of you, law enforcement. And I mean that from my heart.
Thank you so much.
Officers get their warrants, then hit the road. They visit houses, apartments, address after address, knocking on doors, hoping the people they're looking for will answer. It can be tricky, even with a warrant.
Hey, does Jacqueline live here?
Deputies say violators often change addresses and run. Sometimes they try to get back with the people they hurt.
Incredibly important for the safety of our survivors, our domestic violence survivors.
Detective Aaron Hawkins is with Clackamas County's Domestic Violence Enhanced Response Team.
So we should be able to go up this stairwell.
He's about to serve a suspect wanted for multiple sex crimes.
Aiden, step out, please. Turn around, face the wall. Interlace your fingers. You feeling okay? Yeah. All right.
Hawkins notes this mission doesn't end with stopping domestic violence. It's often how it starts.
Because as we know from statistics, it's likely that these offenders that commit domestic violence are going to very typically commit acts of violence against other people as well.
Back at headquarters, deputies book their suspects. With each one, they think of those they're accused of hurting and hope that this is where their cycle of violence ends.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Let's get to the latest developments now in the war between Israel and Hamas. Overnight, the Israeli military moved into Gaza in a ground raid, so this was a smaller operation. Israel says it was laying the groundwork for a bigger invasion happening soon. Israel also says it killed a senior Hamas official. They say he was second in command of intelligence and planned the terror attack that started this war back on October 7th. A lot of people are calling for a ceasefire in the war, and that includes members of the Palestinian and Jewish communities here in Portland. KGW's Alma McCarty sat down with two local men with deep ties to the Middle East. Here's what they had to say.
I knew right away that after a very vicious and horrific attack like this, that Israel would respond massively.
Since October 7th, both Joel Bainan and Niall Saker say there's been a lot of pain, personal grief, and loss.
My brother's older daughter, Liat, and her husband, Aviv, lived on kibbutz near Oz, which was one of the Israeli kibbutzim that was most severely attacked by Hamas on October 7th. They were taken hostage.
And for Saker, a Palestinian American, retaliation from Israel hit home.
I lost 39 people of my immediate family. My cousin Laila, my cousin Rahab, and their families, their kids.
For the past few weeks, they've watched the horrors of war from afar, both with a deep understanding of the region's history. Saker was born and raised in Gaza City.
I witnessed the humiliation and the occupation with all the dirty aspect of it.
Bainan was a Middle Eastern history professor for 35 years.
So my heart was doubly heavy, both for my family members and because I had a huge sense of failure. Whatever we did wasn't enough to prevent this from happening.
With the violence weighing heavily on both.
When the options are all bad, the best thing to do is just stop shooting.
They're calling for a ceasefire.
And it was pretty easy for us to agree that the most important thing that has to happen is an immediate ceasefire, establish a humanitarian corridor to deliver aid, and the release of the hostages.
But neither sees it as more than a hope without international pressure to do so.
I personally afraid of the whole area, the whole region will explode.
Despite these fears, they'll continue to hope, to pray for justice and for peace and for humanity.
I hope for a serious peace talk to place justice in the beginning and to place a hope for our young generation for the future.
Alma McCarty, KGW News.